is that for the thesis, I in my question, I picked how can tapestry how does the connection interact with the American society?
Okay. Where is that question from?
That's from the copy that I have in my hands.
Okay. Could you type some of that somewhere so I could see it?
Yeah. You can I be able to can I be able to type it for you in the chat?
But why not type it in either the thesis or your body paragraph somewhere in there that you probably
Well,
need to understand.
we have to answer the question for what I told you, so I can be able to put it down in chat so you can see it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that passage we read really directly doesn't have much to do with American society. Um, it's talking about slavery. So how do you plan to connect slavery to the American society?
What you're supposed to do is for the body paragraph, we should be able to use the question and um and then answer it. And then for the body paragraph, I think
What I'm asking you to think about though is the question you wrote. Um, Slavery didn't really the Ghana is about the slave trade. So
yeah.
how did what you're trying to answer is how slave trade impacted American society, maybe the ethnic groups that came out of there.
Hmm. Well, I think that's going to be for the body paragraph. For the thesis, we should be able to write the answer for about the connection, and for body paragraph, about the sources.
Right. So what is the answer for the connection?
Um, the connection interact with American society. The connection was comparing to the sources with lots of with the history of what happened back from the American times. Like you remember at the American times there was like the slave trade wars and like that.
Why don't you try typing something in there for your thesis?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so one of the problems with your thesis is that it's too broad, and you also
You
don't make a claim. You don't argue for anything, so you're gonna want to revise that.
revise that.
It's too broad, it's not specific enough. So, did you guys cover in class what a good thesis consists of?
Yeah, it needs to be one or two sentences.
Yeah, that more than that. Okay. Anything else that you remember from that?
I think I remember um
It has to be specific.
okay.
So, what are you going to say specifically about slavery or wars or anything like that? It also needs to make an assertion about it, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So, it needs to be more specific. Like, what is the connection? What kind of connection?
The connection, it connected to the events in American history.
What events? Be specific.
Events like uh e the events like the it's like um I'm trying to think, Matthew.
Okay. Well, you don't have to start there. You could start with writing about in your body paragraph what we talked about in that Ghana article.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the slavery was impacted from American history.
Let's talk about that article that we read. What do you remember about it from the other day?
We read about the slave trade, about the Ghana.
Okay. And what were some of the things, the main points that you remember from that article?
The main points I remember that the Ghana, what they did was that they were they were building castles, and they were trying to um they were trying to be in castles for trading like protection from settlers and threats into for in exchange for gold.
Okay. Can you write some of that down in your body paragraph?
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Okay.
That is not at all what's in that article that we read the other day. So why don't you try telling me what you remember about the article from the other day?
I remember that they turned castles into they turned castles into they turned castles into they were turned into forts.
I mean that is possibly true, but is that the main idea of this?
No.
Okay. Is it that you don't remember
Ah, I
or
got it. It's right here. It's right here. It's like in the Ghana slave trade, they were it was showing the impact. It was showing uh the connection of Ghana between Quetta in the east and Benin in the west.
that is not the main idea? Like what was the main thing that you remember from this article?
It was at the it was this one. It was at the beginning of this one right over here. That's
It's
what I
not the
remember.
first sentence. It's okay to say, hey, you know what, I don't remember anything
Okay, I don't
from
even remember.
okay, so should we read the article again?
Um, Wait a minute. I think I remember the main thing that I remembered. I'll be able to tell you. The main thing I remembered is um it was about the main thing I remember is the Gold Coast. I remember about the Gold Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Gold Coast, it was I just remember that that they were um and because they were using gold and like that for trading. So that's what I just remember the main thing of it. So I can write it down.
Let's try. Why don't we try answering some questions? Why don't I put a question in the chat that you can answer that will help. So, um,
Okay.
uh, was the Gold Coast uh about this? Why did the Gold Coast get its name?
Okay.
So, why is it called the Gold Coast? That is the first thing.
Okay. Okay.
Sourish, that is not the answer. God.
What?
Why, I mean, why do you, okay. I think of an example.
Wait,
Are there,
I'm sorry about that. Hold on, I'm sorry about that. I got
well, I mean, its name tells you why it's called the Gold Coast. Gold.
it
Why
because
did,
it's due to gold.
and it says in the first paragraph, it says that was called the Gold Coast due to its vast quantities of gold.
Yeah,
Like I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. So why is it called the Gold Coast? Because it has vast quantities of gold.
yeah.
So was Ghana always a place where slaves were traded?
For slave trade. It's not always the place. There's other slave trades.
That's right. So no, for slave trade, they were just gold. So maybe start your body paragraph with that. Maybe say that Ghana was once a place where gold was traded.
Okay. Okay.
Is that really what they did? They traded over gold?
Because you told me that.
I suggested that it was named because there was gold there.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, so let's go back to the article.
Hold on. I need to. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, when did the interest in the Gold Coast turn from gold to slaves? When? When did that happen?
Okay. So you were saying that, can you write it down in the chat? Can you write it down in the chat? Write down in the
Yes.
chat.
Yes. Right.
All right. Okay. What? There you go. Trade routes.
So where are you reading that it's the 15th century?
Right here.
Yeah, but that's not when the slave trade happened. And the 15th century is the 1400s. Look at the
Well,
next
yeah, but
paragraph.
they were putting us in links because the trades were in links.
Okay. Well, the exact date isn't as important as the following, which is why? Why was there a need for slaves?
Jot it down.
That's not correct. So let's try reading the paragraph that says as early as the 1500s.
Well, that was a simple question. I just remember about the previous slave trades, not the Ghana, but the other slave
You,
trades long time back.
I mean, sir,
That
you can make up things, but they're not right. Like you can tell me that, it's 100 degrees outside and it's not, but you could say it. So do you want to read the article and use what's in the article or just use your own opinion?
read an article.
So it says as early in the 1500s, the settlers Could you put your cursor there and start reading as early as the 1500s?
Yeah,
Could you start reading there? The answer's right there.
yeah. All the way.
No, you don't read all of that, just the first part.
Okay. As early as the 1500s, the settlers' interest turned to the slave trade in the light of growing demand for human labor in the New World, the Americas, and the Caribbean.
Okay, so why was there a need for slaves?
And because they just want because they're growing demand for human labor in the New World.
Yes. So you might want to add to your body paragraph now that around 1500s,
Yeah.
are you going to do something with your cursor? You're going to delete that. What are you going to do?
I'm trying to get it down.
So what happened in the 1500s or the 15th century? You already answered that, but now you've got to add to the chat. What happened in the 15th century? Do you understand my question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened in the 15th century? I know that. I know that.
Well, you already wrote it in the chat. I mean, that's why I don't know why
Yeah.
this is a struggle.
I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get the chat. There we go. Okay. Okay.
Sir, you don't have to rewrite what you wrote. You can just use what you've already written. It's in the chat. In the 15th
But you
century.
said it was wrong.
Well, it it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but it's good enough.
They needed slaves for trading for goods and like that.
Start out with in the 15th century, they linked the trade
Okay.
routes.
Okay.
You so after this, type the other sentence you wrote about why they needed slaves.
Okay.
All right, so next type the sentence about why they needed slaves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Matthew, are you there?
Yeah, but that's
Now I'm gonna
that,
be writing the
the answer is it has to do with um the need for labor in the new world.
yeah, so I can write in the next sentence.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, okay, Matthew.
Yep. So are you going to figure out what the demand is that's needed in the new world? What were they demanding in the new world?
What were they demanding? What they were demanding is that they were demanding human labor.
Yes. So please add that in.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's try to get you to answer some more questions here. Um, what were the conditions like in the castles
The
for the
castles.
slaves? Yes. What were the conditions like in the castles for the slaves?
Um.